guys and gals. We got the Jets versus the Panthers. I am giddy over here. We've got real football that actually counts. And let's just not waste any time. Sam Darnold versus the New York Jets. It's been long discussed all offseason. We've been waiting for this moment. The NFL did not screw around. They knew that this was a big game, and they are just sticking it right at week one. They want, and everybody in the NFL, I would say, wants to watch this game and see how it all unfolds. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of game Sam Darnold can play versus his old team. You know, is he going to let the game kind of play itself out? Or is he going to force things? Is he going to kind of push the ball where it shouldn't be, which he's kind of done with the Jets in the past? What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. We've got week one football. And my microphone's a little loud. Let me tone that back a little bit. Sorry about that if I blew your ears off. We got week one football, y'all. Week one football, y'all.
Okay, baby. It's back.
Harry W. Sam Who. Listen, man, the Twitter social media warfare that is going on between Sam Darnold, like, I guess not apologists, but guys who refuse to root against him, even though he's not a Jets player anymore, and then guys like me who say, I don't hate Sam Darnold. I'm not rooting for him to get hurt. I don't even wish ill will on the guy. But I'm not going to root for Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. If that makes you upset, I apologize. But I can't. I can't do it. I am a Jets fan. I'm going to root for the opposition, for us to beat the opposition and to throw them in the dirt every single time. Mike, I'm going to get to the chat, but I do want to hear from you first. What is your thought on that? Because there are people online still who say, Sam's a nice guy, which he is. I respect him. He's a very good man. But what is with this, man? I'm not allowed to root against Sam Darnold? What is this?
No, you respect the players. You respect your opposition. You respect their staff, the work they put into preparing for the season. But game day, you're either wearing the colors or you're not wearing the colors. And come Sunday, Sam's not wearing the green and white. He's wearing some shit blue and silver and whatever else they got. And so, friendships go aside when you get on that field. I mean, I think you could listen to good speeches from Ray Lewis, from James Harrison, who is the living embodiment of he doesn't care whether you're family. If you're not in the Steeler, if you weren't in the Steeler black and gold, you were getting laid out.
Yeah, you were an enemy. Yeah.
But no, I mean, when you step on that field, you're either on the same team or you're not. And if you're not, and that goes for the fans as well, it's free game. You got to, we're Jet fans. We're not Sam. I don't have a Sam Darnold fan club jersey or shirt. I have Jet merchandise. I have Jet swag. Right. And I'm there on Sunday to represent the Jets. So, off the field, I think he's a great guy. I think he had what happened to him is a crappy deal. I think we can all agree with that. Some of which he dug his hole. I mean, he's not innocent in this whole thing. And I think some fans, as time progresses, John, I think that's something we'll probably see more of, where fans will start to maybe give him more passes, given the amount of time it's been since we've seen him play, or at least when he played for the Jets. But if you go back and look at that, he was equally involved in what happened. Maybe not equally, but I don't know. That depends. That's for me. I think he met them halfway with getting him out the door.
Right.
So I just think that I think it's easy to forget that. In which case, it's all erroneous, to quote the Wedding Crashers. At the end of the day, we have Zach Wilson, we have our Jets, and we're gonna go to war come this Sunday.
So you said it very well. And I think, to be fair to the people who are saying Sam's a good guy, they're rooting for him to have success, they're not saying that, they're rooting for him on Sunday versus the Jets. But again, if he's having a ton of success and just balling the F out, it doesn't just make us look bad. It also gives us a worse second round pick in the 22 draft. So, all respect to people who are, being courteous to Sam Darnold. I feel like I am being courteous to Sam Darnold by not trashing the guy. I just am going to root against him. That's just the way it works. And so I wanted to open it up with that because I was getting kind of irritated with the online back and forth of you're not rooting for Sam Darnold. He's a good guy. What's wrong with you? It has nothing to do with him not being a nice guy. So we're going to get to the chat. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly read off some names. We got Daniel Roberts, Jet fan for life. Harry W., a member of the channel. It's great to see you as always. Jeremy Cravat. Grant Rude is here. Rodrigo Costa is here. Gitmo Bob, it's great to see you. Vervain is here, and he's letting us know 4 more days. That doesn't even seem real.
It's nuts.
That doesn't even seem real. Stephen Engel is here. Gumball 3D is here. Frankie from Flatbush is here. So we got a bunch of people in the chat, and I'm going to try to right now just get to a few of your comments. Jeremy says, wow, that's a really big Jeremy. I love you, Jeremy. I'm going to shrink you down just a tiny bit. He says, I am not reading too much into wins this season. I'm just excited and hoping we have our quarterback to see which of our young guys step up. I'm with you, man. I'm with you all the way. We need to see and evaluate the players that are on the team that are young, and we have to hope that they prove themselves, that they have some value and that they can contribute in the future. I'm with you on that one. Gumball says, one day until the season begins, we won't play, but it's nice to have meaningful football back. Agreed. It's great to have football back. Let's see. I would question, this is from Grant Root, I would question the actual fandom of said Jets fans rooting for Sam. That second round pick is important. The worse Sam does, the better it is for the Jets. This isn't hard. It is true. And the comment that I got on Twitter from somebody was, well, Sam can have a really great year and the Panthers can lose. And yeah, I guess sure that can happen because we saw it with the Chargers, with their rookie quarterback. His name is slipping me right now. The rookie who broke the record, Justin Herbert, sorry. So Herbert broke the record, single season record for passing for a rookie quarterback, and they were bad this year. They lost a lot of football games. That's pretty rare for the quarterback to be awesome and the team to be terrible. So I'm with you, Grant. I'm not rooting for Sam to be awesome. I feel like that doesn't give us the best chance at a better second round pick. I have the feeling John will get to me after my comments to his video. Gitmo, it's all good. So he and I were going back and forth just a little bit ago. So Gitmo, it's no problem what you said. It's no worries. I think you're reading a little bit too much into it, but maybe I'm not understanding you. You're saying that our young secondary, they can be better than what we expect, and I'm with you on that, and I hope that you understand that. Me saying they're young, inexperienced is not a knock. It's mostly just facts. They are young, they are inexperienced, and with a great pass rush this Sunday, that just sounds good to say. With this Sunday, we're going to have a lot more success. That's all I was getting at with that. A good pass rush is necessary for any secondary, wouldn't you say, Mike?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You need for your defense to be dominant. I mean, even the great corners like Darrelle Revis couldn't do it all by themselves. If you don't get that pressure, you're in for a world of hurt. And our corners are going to need that pressure. I know we have a topic set aside for that, but we'll get to that maybe a little bit later. But we're going to need that pressure, and we're going to need it right up the gut too. So for us especially, the pressure is really important for us to have not even a decent game, but a decent season. So I don't want to jump the gun, John. I don't want to bring us into that topic.
You're good.
Topic it is 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Gumball says, I agree with Mike. Sam didn't have the best circumstances with us, but he didn't help us, or excuse me, didn't help his own cause, and that's why we moved on. 100% agree with that take, no doubt. Stephen Engel says, I got my 20-ounce coffee mug, cloud plush 60 by 70 blanket, long sleeve logo shirt coming this week. Jet the F up. He's got all this. He's got all that swag.
He's right.
Tommy R says, I think Sam will play better than last year, but nowhere close to how well Zach will play. I agree. I think Sam will play better this year, and I think there's definitely a chance that he does good this year. Like, I think that's something that people are losing in this conversation, is just because I'm rooting against Sam doesn't mean that he won't play well. Like, me saying I'm rooting against him has no bearing on what he actually does this season. Gitmo has a great comment. He says, I hope Darnold is successful at throwing to our guys. Right. Because you're a Jets fan, right? You're not a Panthers fan. You're not a Darnold fan. Get off the freaking boat. It's over. That relationship is done. Let's see. Off topic, but love your fair... Oh, he's commenting to Jeremy Cravat. That's super cool of you. Let's see. Just having Davis and Moore on the field at the same time is going to be lit, whoever the other three are. Yeah. It looks like Jamison Crowder might not play. Keelan Cole. We got Berrios. Excuse me. We have Denzel Mims. You know, we've got depth. That's the whole reason why we were so excited and talked so much about it all offseason. One guy goes down, we're still strong at that position. All right, let's catch up. Braden, what's up, man? It's good to see you. Rodrigo echoes what I said. Jets fans need to get over Darnold. He's like the ex that you keep around. Just delete it. Just delete it. What's the saying? What's the quote in that movie? That movie's over. Like, find a new movie, or like,
right.
It's like you just gotta get over it.
It's funny though that Sam's getting that a lot, don't you? I mean, I can't remember. I mean, there was a lot of other Jet quarterbacks that got the stiff arm from the organization, maybe before they should have, or not due to not all due to their own devices, I guess you could say. I mean, I know at the end we were all done with Sanchez, but I don't remember the sob stories after him getting us to the AFC Championship twice. I don't remember any sob stories like we're getting with Sam. Mm-hmm. I understand that Sam has somewhat got that, that kind of baby face, just kind of only 2 years out, or no, I'm sorry, 4 years out since he's been drafted. But I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking of other quarterbacks who've got the stiff arm, and I don't remember this kind of response or support network that Sam is getting.
Yeah, I think it's because he's likable. But again, it's like we just got to get moving on.
We know he's likable. We know he's likable. His mono tells us that he's very likable.
Kevin Gorman with an awesome tweet. With an awesome comment. He says, the Jets are going to win. They haven't lost yet this year, baby. I like that. Harry W., he says, Moore is going to be able to offset McCaffrey. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Whatever big plays McCaffrey makes, Moore is going to make some plays himself. I love that idea, and I love that mindset. Grant Rude with a good question, and we're going to get to the mailbag after this one. So Grant Rude says, what do you guys think about Mosley running the huddle but not playing the Mike linebacker? So that essentially means he's not going to be lined up as the middle linebacker. He'll be playing on the outside, but he's going to have the headset in. And he's asking, what are our thoughts on that? I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on Mosley not playing the middle, but is still going to have the headset in?
I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not going to lie. I think he's probably our strongest tackler, and for him, I mean, he could be totally isolated out of the play. And although, this is something that, John, we talked about over the weekend in certain capacities, which was, if the Panthers want to, they can totally get away from Mosley. They could rotate, they can move around if they wanted to, they could pull McCaffrey anywhere they want to. And Mosley isn't Superman, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he's not going to be able to be on every play, but I do think that that's exaggerated if he's not playing the mic. If he's not in the middle, I mean, there's could be some plays where his skill set and everything we're excited to see Mosley back for could be totally moot, a moot point. And I thought one of the things that our defense struggled with at times, especially in the preseason games, was tackling. I think some of the plays, our guys either were out of position, footwork was bad, or perhaps just bad timing. And Mosley kind of is my rock to lean against when it comes to tackling, especially when they get past the line. So I'm not a big fan of it. We'll see how it plays. I'm not saying it doesn't work. There's plenty more genius football heads out there than I am. So Jeff knows probably better where to put Mosley and maximize what he brings. But on paper, from my eyes, I'm just a little worried about because he could be totally outside the play, and there's not much we can do about it. So I'm a little worried about that.
I'm so proud of you for making those comments. So if he is lined up, let's just say on the left side of the defense, the Panthers can absolutely run the opposite direction. They're not going to do that every single play, but they absolutely can avoid him if they want to, and they can move McCaffery all over the formation. So I think it would have been an issue even if he was playing the mic, but I do think it's a little bit strange. I'm sure it's not the first time it's ever happened before, but I also think it's a sign that they are not comfortable, obviously, giving Jamian Sherwood that responsibility. He is going to be the Mike linebacker on Sunday. I think he's probably better suited for that Mike linebacker spot. I just kind of like Mosley being in the middle. So great question by Grant Rude. Thanks for submitting it. Also, we have Panther fans in the stream. No worries. Thanks for joining us, and I appreciate you, D-Wade, for liking the stream and subbing to the channel. It's super cool of you. We're going to talk all about the game tonight, so if you're into, just hearing and talking and hearing the perspective from Jets fans, that's what we're going to do all night. So let's get to it. We're going to get to the first mailbag question. And the first mailbag is from Eagle Fang, and he says, not a question, but more of a plead. The New York Jets season has to be about Zach Wilson this year. The New York Jets can't fail another young quarterback, top 5 drafted quarterback, or else this team is doomed. Any quick takeaways on that one? I'll just let you have that one.
I'm just reading the comment real quick.
I already read it.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
I know. All right. I mean, there is a lot of pressure. I mean, this is something we goes back. I mean, I think one of the first things we talked about after the draft was what are the pressures on Zach himself with media? What is the pressures on the front office with making something of this investment? And so, yeah, I don't think there's any way we can kid ourselves. I think there is a lot of pressure and especially based on what we saw in preseason and Zach's comfort level rising by the day with the offensive scheme, with the players, connecting with them, with the playbook. I think there's a lot of pressure on Joe D, particularly to continue to support that young quarterback, especially when we get into the next offseason, to continue to put tool sets around him to enable him to perform. And so, yeah, I think the Jets have to do everything they need to position him to be successful. Whether he stutters, whether he continues on the trajectory that he's on, obviously that's up to Zach, and only Zach can control that. So I would just say that the Jets and Joe D particularly need to do everything they can. There's a lot of pressure for them to do that. I think they are doing that. I'm very happy with what the front office has done to date. Even as recent as Morgan Moses, who I thought was kind of interesting because he's not listed as a starter. Him and Fant are in the same spot together, so I guess they're still waiting. That will be a game time decision. But Morgan Moses, I think, was a perfect example of how they're continuously looking at the market of how they can continue or how they can better support Zach. Of course, Zach has to take that step himself. He's the only one that can step through the doorway. All the Jets can do is open the door, and I think we see him doing that. So, yeah, Jets can't mess around. I mean, I would say Jags are in the same position as us. Jags need to do everything they need to do with Trevor. The only difference is I think we were starting from a better, fresh slate than the Jags were. So I think that's where the New York media will really be a little ruthless because, I think the Jags will get a pass more than we will in terms of how this plays out. But I think it looks good right now. So yeah, I think there is pressure, but I think I like what I see, and I think we all agree with that based on all the conversations we've had about it.
There are some great comments and questions, guys. If you keep posting them, I am going to get them. I'm favoriting all of these comments that are great. So just keep coming and sending them in. Just because I'm not reading them right away does not mean I'm not going to get to them. Thank you for submitting all the great comments. So my quick thing is he's right. We do need to make sure that Zach is successful this year, and it all comes down to coaching. All of the offseason stuff is ancient history at this point, and now is on the job of the coaching staff to make sure that he is successful. I'm really excited to see him on Sunday play. I think he's going to surprise. I think he's going to play pretty well. I think there's some really good players on that defense for the Panthers. So it's going to be interesting how they scheme it up to help Zach to kind of take away that threat. Great question. Let's get to some of these comments. Gitmo Bob did say earlier that they means we could play a lot of 4-2-5. Grant Rude has been talking about that for about 3 months now, how we might be using a lot of 4-2-5. If Hamza Nasruddin is the hybrid where he's playing linebacker, also safety in that 4-2-5, I'm fine with that. That would be great. I'm good with that. Tommy R says, I trust Saleh. Wherever he puts Mosley, there's a good reason for it. He says, we will have to wait till Sunday to find out. Yep, I do. I trust Saleh. I trust Ulbrich. I trust the coaching staff. Christy Marie is here. Thank you for joining us again. She says, Tony Romo said Zach is the next Mahomes. He said that he had Mahomes-like traits. And so he says, he clearly has all the talent, but can we see him play a regular season game first? Christy, I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's kind of Romo's job as a analyst for CBS. I don't think he's doing like a clickbait thing, but he's definitely trying to get fans excited. And I think that, that's part of the media is to get people interested in what they're saying. So Motivated T. Panthers O-line is worse than the O-line, that we had last year. That's a fact. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. And they just lost their starting right guard to the COVID protocols. Frankie did mention that the defense for the Panthers is solid. They have added to their defense the last 2 off seasons, drafting players. I think they've done a really, really good job building up that defense. It's young. It's kind of like the Jets defense. It's young and inexperienced, but there's definitely talent there. And then Kevin Gorman, this will be the last one we'll get to, and then we'll go back to the mailbag. Do you think the Jets' revamped O-line can stop Burns? Burns is a dude. He is an edge demon, speed rusher on the edge. I do think that our offensive line can slow him down, but it's going to be interesting. Again, what do they scheme up to try to slow that pass rush down? Do they do some draw plays so that allow the edge rushers to get upfield and then draw? Run it right up the gut on a draw play. You can do screen passes on that side. Let him come ripping right down that side and then screen it right over his head. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Maybe you throw a tight end on that side, a running back to block. There's all kinds of, counter punches that you can do to a guy who's really, really good on the edge. Can't wait to see what they do with him. All right, mailbag 2. This is a funny comment, by the way. He says, how many times will Jonathan Franklin Myers chase Sam Darnold out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage with the ball in his hands? So instead of just throwing the ball out of bounds, like he did a couple times last year specifically, how many times? God only knows. I hope he does it every play, though.
Yeah, exactly. That is the right answer.
Jets Grinch on Twitter, he says, is Wilson's first start being on the road in a less hostile environment than, say, a Buffalo or a New Orleans advantageous as a rookie or a hindrance? What do you think? The Panthers, I mean, they have a good home crowd, but it's not the same as those two that he mentioned. I would even throw the Seahawks in that conversation. So what do you think? Advantageous or a disadvantage for Wilson?
I would definitely say advantageous. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, I think the kid's going to be nervous to some extent. His first regular season game in professional football. going against his predecessor. I think that's the recipe for anyone to be kind of nervous, trying to
Mm-hmm.
prove your worth to your coach, prove your worth to your fan base. And I think it does help not being in a ruthless stadium. Some of our division counterparts, or even around the league. I mean, take your pick of some of the rough stadiums we've been in, particularly the Ravens Stadium, who's local to myself and John, since we reside in Maryland. So there are some rough stadiums out there, and I think to have somewhat of a calmer water to do your first game, especially with so many other anxiety points, I think is
Mm-hmm.
a good thing for him. So if I was Zach Wilson, I would like the situation. If I knew I had to go against my predecessor, I would hope I didn't. There was one less thing I had to worry about, like a fan base who maybe is showing up at my, I don't know where they, I don't know how many. I don't think fans can get to when they enter the stadium, but it just helps having a little bit less ruthless of a fan base to deal with while you're trying to get your feet under you, so to speak. So I think it's a good thing.
You said it good. You said that there's other stressors involved in this game. One less is just fine by me as well. I have no problem with that. And I think it does help a little bit. And Harry W, he made the comment, there's going to be a lot of Jets fans in Carolina. I do agree. Generally, the Jets travel pretty good. I mean, we're not Pittsburgh, we're not Dallas. Those fans seem to travel pretty darn good. Even Buffalo to an extent. But yeah, I think he's right. I think there's going to be a ton of Jets fans in that stadium, so we shall see. D Wade, Panthers fan, he said that we also have Hassan Reddick as well. That's definitely a factor. I think he'll be on the side of Becton. I'm not saying that Becton's going to shut him out and dominate him, because Reddick's pretty good in his own right. So the edge pressure that they could present could be a problem, and their defensive line's pretty good in general. I like the Panthers' defensive line, so we'll have our hands full, man.
Oh
There is
yeah.
no doubt about it. It's definitely a tough game for the Jets. Tommy R says it's odd that they still haven't named the right tackle yet. I could be reading it wrong, but I think that's just the Jets hiding information from the Panthers. I'm sure behind closed doors they already know who it is. I think Saleh is just keeping that a secret, trying to keep as much information away from the Panthers as possible. I
I don't know
honestly,
how it makes a difference.
oh sure. Well, I mean, it makes it so that those guys who they're going, like the guy that's going against them, Fant or Moses, they have to study two guys' tapes. I mean, I would think that's what they would do because you don't know who it's going to be. So that's the only difference, really. If we can get pressure in Sam's face, that's when he'll make the mistakes. I had said it earlier in the offseason, the line of scrimmage will win this game, and I'll stick with that. I think if we can protect Sam, if we can run the ball, protect Sam. If we can protect Zach and run the football, and if we can create pressure on Darnold, I think that's going to be how we win this game. So I agree with you, Gumball, definitely. Let's see. Do we play May at this was an interesting question, too. He says, do we play May at the line? I think he means back in coverage.
Right. No, we press.
You want to press with May? He's
I
not
think
a corner.
Well, I guess my comment was more in general. I think we're going to need to make Sam. I'm quoting Jets Talk 24/7, but I agree with him, which is we got to make Sam win the game for us or for them. We have to make it so all the pressure's on Sam. And slowing that offense down with McCaffrey, with Chuba, with Robby Anderson is a top priority, and I feel like I agree with those guys, which is to press as much as possible on the right downs and in the right ways to allow pressure to get in there, so that Sam has to make the right call, every time, and we know he struggles with that. So, in general, I would press, but whether with May or no, I don't know. What's your take on that?
So I was thinking. I mean, I think I'm fine with pressing a little bit. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and I agree with you. Picking your downs to do that. You don't want to do that every play.
Right.
But you're right though. Pressing in certain circumstances is a good idea. If we're gonna press, I want to see cover 2 man. I want to see May back I want to see LaMarcus Joyner back because I don't want to get burnt deep. I don't want to see DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrance Marshall. I don't want to see these guys going over the top.
Right.
Make them work, like you said. Make them work underneath. Make them get earn everything that they get. No big plays. Try to limit that as much as you can. I agree. So I hear what you're saying, brother. Oh boy. So there's some discussion about KJ Wright. Vervain is saying, I don't think KJ was considering any teams besides the Hawks and the Raiders, but I agree he would have been a nice piece for a young team. We certainly could have used a vet in the linebacking group. It's young. It's just like the secondary. It's really, really young. Emanon, NYNV, it's good to see you in the chat. Don't recognize you, so if you're new here, welcome to the channel. He says, going to be Moses, and Fant is going to be our swing. I think that's how we all envisioned it at the beginning. I thought it was pretty close in the preseason. I thought that they both, had some ups and downs, so I think it's interesting. And I do agree with you, Emanon, that that's eventually what we'll do. So we'll see. Steven Engel, he's going to have his eye on Jonathan Franklin Myers. I'm counting on him and Bryce Huff, man. We need them to do something on the edge. They don't need to have multiple sacks, but pressure, man. Get on Sam Darnold's ass quick. I want them to make him feel very, very uncomfortable. Frankie from Flatbush, he says, I sneak May into the box a lot to try to contain CMC as much as possible. This means one-on-ones for Bryce Hall a lot. There's risk and there's reward for that. I agree. Doing that every once in a while as like a curveball, I'm down for that because you're right. May covering CMC could be a decent matchup. But I worry about the big play. Yeah. It's dangerous, but I think what he's saying is a cover one. You'd still have a safety back there. But it wouldn't be those two safeties playing deep. But I do not mind doing that every once in a while for sure on Sunday. I would expect to see that a little bit, no doubt. All right, let's keep going. You guys are blowing up the chat, so I'm going to go back to the mailbag here. We've got our fourth mailbag. This was an interesting question. He says, what makes you think that Guidry can be an option on the outside? Because Robert Saleh had mentioned maybe he could be the number 2 on the outside. Other than speed, what does he bring that makes you think he's capable of taking that starting gig or at least looking like he belongs? I personally don't think that he can. I think he is a...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
We talked a little bit... I think... No, you're good. We talked a little bit about it last week. Excellent slot corner, but what about outside? What are you thinking?
He's too small. I mean, what is he? I would just say, think about, especially on the Panthers, you put him next to Robby Anderson. You're going to see Robby Anderson have like a 50-yard touchdown. That's what's going to happen there. I feel like he's just too good at being in the slot or nickel. To put him on the outside, I just feel like they put him on the outside. I think that's a coaching blunder. I wouldn't put that on Guidry. I'd say that's a coaching mistake right there because it's just not. We have other options there, and there's better solutions to that problem. Unless, of course, I'll leave the 1% out of my 99% opinion, which is unless they see something that I don't, and that is quite possible because I'm sitting here and Robert Saleh is sitting in in the Jets front office. But I don't see, given the other skill set and physical traits that other corners have, how Guidry would be in the best position to have that role. So I think he's great in the slot. I think or nickel. I just think that Eccles, Bryce Hall, they're where they should be. And I don't know. I'm pretty passionate about that because I just feel like we lose more than just the big play of putting Guidry on the outside. We lose his ability to cover the slot, which is something we also need very badly.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think that he's really good in that role. And, maybe in a different week we could definitely do that, but I don't think this is the week to do that. I would rather see something like that maybe versus the Patriots. I don't think that he can't play on the outside. I just don't think that the matchups in this week particular are great for him to do such a thing. So we'll wait and see how it goes throughout the season. So Gitmo threw this in the comments of one of my videos. He said, since when did Darnold become such a great deep ball thrower? Most of his deep balls either come up short or sail out of bounds. I mean, it's a fair critique, man. I think, he hasn't been great throwing it deep. He has been a little bit inaccurate on that, that part of his game. I just think in general, he hasn't had that good of a core of wide receivers. So I think that's a fair, that's a fair take, I think. And I hear what you're saying, Gitmo, but I don't think we can sit here and just say there's no risk of getting burnt deep. Even though Darnold's the quarterback, I do think that they have enough weapons, to account for maybe some inaccuracies. Those are big dudes on that side of the field, and they're really fast too. So, all right, let's go back to the mailbag. And I do apologize. I am congested. I am sick. If you can't tell from my voice, I was sick over the last couple of days, so I'm weathering the storm over here as best I can. If I sound like crap, I do apologize. Braxton Berrios Truther, he says, what are your favorite future prop bets this year? He said his favorites are the overs, Corey Davis having more than 4 touchdowns. I think that's a great bet, by the way.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, Rookie of the Year. He has a shot, in my opinion. Jets wins being over 6.5. And then the unders would be Zach Wilson under 3,850 yards. Which of those bets do you like, Mike? You don't have to name all of them, but which ones do you like the most?
I think the ones I like the most, I definitely like the Corey Davis one, more than 4 touchdowns. I think the fanboy in me likes the Zach Wilson Rookie of the Year. I think that would just make me all giddy or tighten the pants. And then I mean I think I'm all hovering over the overs. I like all 3 of those right there.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson's yardage, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with that one. So I think the one that I would go down right now, I put money on, is Corey Davis having more than 4 touchdowns. Yeah,
That's the one that I would hit hard if I was a betting man.
yeah.
I think that he is absolutely in line for, over. I think he's going to get about 100 targets this season. I think that's definitely in bounds to say. So I could definitely see him getting 4 touchdowns, no doubt. All right, we got one more, and then we will get to our second topic. And it is from Grant Root, and I loved his questions. He really got specific here. He says, how do you think the head coach manages the game? And by the way, Grant Root, I love this question so much. I actually think I might twist this a little bit and use it in our Wednesday podcasts most weeks and talk about how are we going to manage the game, like the head coach, how should we call plays and that kind of thing. Blitzing, run percentages, pass percentages. I loved all of it. I thought it was very, very interesting. So I might integrate this next week, so if you see it, don't be surprised. So anyway, OC, how is he going to play call? DC, how's he going to play call? You got a run percentage, pass percentage. We're going to be blitzing a lot. We're going to play a lot of press, man zone. What kind of defense are we going to present to them? What do you think? You don't have to hit all that. You don't have to hit all that, by the way.
I'll just as they come to mind, I'll just throw them out there. On the offensive side, I think we'll be more pass heavy. I do think on this game. I'm not saying down the field, but I think you're going to see a lot of. I think we're going to be like the 2010 Patriots. It's going to be dink and dunk all over the place, which I'm totally fine with. Using the receiving ability of our running back committee, really, maximizing Mike LaFleur's offense, which is designed to spread out that defense. I do think that we'll be more heavy on the passing game, but I do think I don't want to overwrite the fact that the running game, when we do run, is critically important, because I do think that that's going to be a big part of trying to break up the look for that ferocious defense of the ends that Carolina has. So I do think the run game is critically important, but for some reason, and I'm not quoting any source or anything, I just think I see us really spreading the ball around for this game. And I think that's just, maybe I say that just because in my head I do see us dueling Sam Darnold. So I'm probably completely wrong, because I think everything the Jets have said leading up to this week is that this isn't a one-on-one duel between Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. I think both those quarterbacks have said that as well. So I think part of this is just my emotion, but for some reason I'm just seeing us with a heavier passing preference. Yeah, defensive side, I think I've commented. I agree with Jets talk 24/7. I do think that we press, we try to slow
God,
that
you're
offensive
kissing his
down.
butt tonight, aren't you? No, I'm just kidding.
I disagree with them, so I don't want to
I know.
plagiarize. I don't want to say it's my idea.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah, so I do think we need to slow that offense down. Blitz percent. I mean, I think if I threw out something, it would be total bullshit. So I mean, I do think it all depends on getting pressure because I think we all agree that our secondary it won't last past the first look, right? So we need to either get pressure by the time Sam goes through his first look progression, or we're in trouble probably at that point because someone's going to be open. So I do think that a heavy pressure and potential blitz package is going to be important. I'm not even going to put percent on there because it would be total bullshit at that point. But yeah, I think it's going to be press. I think we're going to have to rely on some blitz packages. And then I do think we're going to be passing more than I think probably than what you are going to say, John. So yeah, there's plenty more to that question.
You're not the only one that thinks we're going to throw more. There are people online that are saying that like we might throw it more this week than people are expecting. I think that's who we are, though. I think that's our identity. We're going to run the football, man, and I think that balance is key in this offense. The play action game it's all predicated on the run. If we don't get the running game going, our play action game's not going to go so good. Won't be as effective, I should say. And I think that's important, man. In this offense, if we can't do those things, that's going to really limit what we can do offensively. So, but I did like what you said, though. You had one caveat. You said that just because we don't run the ball as much as pass doesn't mean that when we run, it's not very, very important. Like, that was a really good thing you threw in there because it's true. Even if we don't run as much as we throw, we need to be efficient and effective in the running game. So I could definitely get behind what you said as far as being efficient with the running game. Not necessarily like pounding it 50 times in the football game either. So I hear what you're going. I hear where you're going with that one at least. So
if we might have this topic, but I just want to build off it. Do you have a receiver who you think is going to be, who you think is just going to match up well for this game? Who you think is going to be really kind of be the arm to lean against for sack? I mean, is it going to be Corey? Is it going to be Mims? Do you have someone in mind?
I feel like it's an obvious answer. I don't want to sound obvious, but the Corey Davis thing, I think he could definitely get close to 10 targets in this game. And I do think that Elijah Moore, I think, could surprise some people this week. I think he has the chance to get his hands on the football, not just catching the football. So I think those two guys, man, I know they're obvious takes, but those are the guys that I'm counting on to make some big, big plays. So, all right, let's get to some more comments. So I love this comment. It made me smile when I read it. Guidry is our new Ray Mickens. We talked about that, I think, a little bit last week as well, actually.
It's true.
It's really not that much different, man.
It is. That's great. I didn't think about that.
Yep. Emanon, another great comment. He says that I'm worried about Darnold throwing deep and potentially getting pass interference calls. Again, that's what that whole inexperience thing is what I was kind of referring to.
That's a great point.
It is a great, great point. Just because they don't complete the ball does not mean that that's not a threat to our defense. I agree. That is a concern. That is definitely something that could be a factor in the game. We need our DBs to be aggressive and to cover well, but if they get too aggressive, it's gonna be a problem. So I agree with that, no doubt. Let's see. We're pretty much caught up here, I think. Jeremy says, we will always prefer to control the game with the run. That's the scheme, but if we fall behind a shootout, it may become... Wouldn't that... So... I'm removing my fandom hat for a second. As an oh my lord. As an NFL fan, how intense will it be if these guys are just going back and forth? Zach Wilson's throwing darts all over the field, and Sam Darnold, let's just say he brings his A game and is kicking ass, fist pumping it like towards the Jets sideline. Like, that is like entertainment 101, man. Like, that'll get so much, I think, a lot of people excited. Not just Jets fans, like NFL fans will be intrigued by that. So yeah, that would be a hell of a
Sure.
that would be pretty
I
intense.
think yeah, I mean, I think that's I think that has the recipe to really start a new rivalry. It could. I mean, who's to say Sam is there for extended period of time, but who's to say he's not? In which case, that type of first game shootout and all this kind of support network that Sam has, I think that's a recipe for a lot of primetime coverage on ESPN First Take. Let's just say that.
Yep. And my lovely wife comes in with a good comment. I'm going to play the Leroy Jenkins. Hopefully it's not an 8 million volume decibels. She says they need to run it, but I'm worried it won't be effective, so they're going to make Zach throw more than they should. If we fall behind and if they if they just completely abandon the running game, that's where it gets bad, because then they can pin their ears back and really pass rush. I don't like the sound of that at all.
I don't think they give up on the run, though.
I don't think they will either. I think they will run the ball behind. I think they will. I think they're going to be consistent.
I don't think the Jets are afraid to lose this game. Like, I mean, let me rephrase that. Not that they would purposely lose, but I don't think that organization is going to be rattled if we lose this game. How about that? Maybe that's a better way to say it.
No, I think our fans, us fans, will be disappointed, and some will be definitely in panic mode that if Sam wins, blah, blah, blah. But I hear you what you're saying. I think Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, they have their plan, man. They knew that this was going to happen. They knew Sam. They played him this year. I think you're right. I think that they probably don't give two you-know-whats. They're ready to move forward, So.
Yep.
Monty says, I'm going to the week 1 game and I got my Wilson jersey. Score prediction, end of the show. That's when it's coming. I also do have a video on the channel, actually, a preview for the upcoming game. So if you want it now, you can go watch that video. I do give a score prediction. That's a great question. We'll read this question and then we'll move on to our first topic. It's always amazing to me when the first 45 minutes to an hour of the show is just comments and mailbag. It's just wonderful. I love it. The interaction with the fans, that's what this is all about, man. I love talking Jets football with you guys. So appreciate y'all tuning in and commenting. Diego says, what if we lose but Sam sucks? I think that would be bad. I mean, we not only...
That'd be like salt in the wound.
If they win and he's terrible, I think that would be pretty frustrating because it would feel like we almost let a game go. You know what I mean?
Well, that would also mean that Zach sucked. That's the only in Y equals MX plus B. That's what B is. Because if Sam sucked and he didn't score, that means we didn't score.
Right. Yeah.
That's
a scary situation, Diego. I appreciate you for giving me my nightmare tonight. I will let you know how that all unfolds. All right. Let's go to our first topic. And the first topic, we've talked a buttload about it already, so we don't have to go too crazy here. But it's Sam Darnold versus the New York Jets. In the intro, I talked about how interesting it's going to be to see how he plays in this game. Not just performance, but like, how is he going to approach this game? Is he going to be fiery? Like, is he going to be a little bit extra fiery on the sidelines, in the huddle? Is he going to be the same Sam? Is he just going to be calm, cool, collected? Is he going to be aggressive? Is he going to be throwing it into tight windows? Is he going to be playing freely? Is he going to play within the offense? That's the thing I'm kind of like interested in when we talk about Sam Darnold versus the Jets, is what kind of game will we get from him? Is he going to be reckless? Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, is he going to force stuff that's not there? I'm really, really interested to see what you think about that. What kind of game are we going to see from Sammy boy?
Well, I mean, don't kid yourself. I mean, Carolina has a game plan. Sam is, as we speak, preparing himself mentally for how he wants the game to progress. You know, how much time he wants in the pocket. You know, what plays he's looking forward to calling or having the ability to run. Like he has in his head right now how he wants that game to unfold. And it's the Jets defense, it's Jeff Ulbricht's job to disrupt that. That's exactly what is on. That's the responsibility of the defensive coordinator is to bring surprises and to disrupt and insert uncomfortability in an offense, and we are going to have to do that. I would say, and I think you touched on this, John, which is don't think that Sam's going to walk off the bus and bring into the stadium on his own accord nervousness and follies. You know, Sam is going to be coming into this game with a chip on his shoulder and also feeling like he's in a new system with a fresh start, and he wants to maximize that start. And I think it's going to be on the Jets defense to rattle Sam. I don't think Sam's going to do that on his own. He's not going to open that Pandora's box without us having to work for it. So, I do think Sam, if we don't get the pressure that we need, I do see Sam potentially getting some momentum going there, and then that gets interesting at that point, which is how do we break that up? There's two ways I think you could break that up. Either through other skill sets on the defense, or the offense is going to have to do that by picking up the pace of scoring to the point where Sam is having to rush because time comes into play. Coaching ability comes into play, which goes back to Grant Rude's points and questions, which is great. So if we can't get that pressure and disrupt Sam's mental state, then we're going to have to – the pressure goes back onto the offense, I feel like, at that point to do that. As far as, Sam's emotion for this game, I think you couldn't ask Sam to be more focused probably. I think this might be the one game he might be the most focused in his career thus far. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's got his ego. He's got a lot of things riding on the game. And, of course, in some ways he's playing for the future of his contracting career with Carolina.
Great point. Great point.
He's got more than just beating the Jets' ass on his mind. At the end of the day, he probably wants a long-term contract, and that's probably more of an incentive than whoever is behind center for us. I expect to see Sam. This is Sam's fifth year, John. Is that right?
This is his fourth year.
Fourth year, sorry. In his fourth year, I think you're gonna see a really focused Sam Darnold. It doesn't mean that the old tendencies aren't still there. It just means the Jets are gonna have to work hard to bring those out. And it's all about disruption. And I think and I put that on Jonathan Marshall. I put that on the D-line with Quinn and Williams. They're really going to have to do that, or else we could be seeing a totally different type of Sam Darnold play.
It's a great point you made in the beginning. You were talking about how if he gets in a rhythm early, I don't want to see that at all. If he's complete, it's very gross because you're right. If he gets some sort of positive momentum early, yucky. That's not good. I don't want to see any of that shit. I want us to hit him quickly, early, hit him right in the mouth. I want him to not feel comfortable from the beginning. And if he does feel comfortable, and if he is just, checking it down to McCaffery, drag route to DJ Moore, drag route to Robby Anderson, easy stuff, I'll get a little nervous. I won't lie.
Yeah. And I wish I would have watched some of the Carolina preseason games. I watched some of the highlights from their games, but I'll be surprised on how they use Sam versus how we half-ass tried to use him. So I say that because I'm not exactly sure, because I asked you, over the weekend, I was like, do you see them rolling him out most of the time, or is he going to be in the pocket? Like, I'm curious to see I'm sure they showed some of that in his preseason games. I just haven't, like I said, I haven't watched it. But I'm curious to see how they use Sam. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe use his mobility more, and then I'd be curious to see how the Jets prepare for that, because I'm not exactly sure what Sam Darnold we prepared for. That would be another question I have.
Yeah, Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator in Carolina. I think he just runs like a very varied offense. Like they're gonna run a lot of it's just gonna be different formations. I don't think it's gonna be limited to one specific thing. I think they'll be very multiple, and I think it will be hard to defend. I think they're gonna get creative, and so that part's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Daniel Roberts, nobody misses him. Stop it. Wants to see who misses Adam
Oh my
Gase.
God.
Sam was forcing it in the last preseason game. Oh, yeah. He will throw picks. At least 2. Oh, my God. Please. I want to see
Yummy.
all the picks.
Yummy.
All of them. Yep.
What's your take?
Oh, on the Sam Darnold, what we're going to see?
Yeah.
I hope we see him press. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope we see him throwing out of sacks where he needs to eat the sack instead of just going down, like quickly throws the ball away. There was
Well,
that. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Grant Rood, like to take Grant Rood's question and put it towards Carolina. I mean, I would have to imagine they're going to be run heavy the entire game, right?
The Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they may rely on a heavy dose of McCaffrey, obviously, and then Chuba as well. It wouldn't shock me at all if they ran the ball maybe more than we think they'll run it. They might try to attack, the edges on the Jets without Carl Lawson and with some young guys in the linebacking core. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them running outside on the Jets, putting some pressure on those linebackers for sure. Tommy R wants to see all the follies from Sam. Right, Eddie Hunt. I agree. Like I am not ruthless. I'm not a ruthless fan. I'm not going to sit here and say I hate him. I want him hurt. I want him to have success, but I do not want that success week 1, and I really don't care to see it all that much this season either. Do it later. Do it later in your career when we don't have a second round pick on the line. All right, let's see. I'm just going to skim through here, looking through these. Stephen Engel says that McCaffrey has had about 11 months of recovery from his injury. That's an interesting factor, too. Gitmo Bob was talking to me about that, and he was kind of saying, how can we assume that McCaffrey is even, 100% recovered? Like, it's no guarantee that he's recovered. I think if you're the Jets, though, you kind of have to assume that he's healthy, right? Like, you can't just go into the game and be like, oh, he's totally not going to be the same guy. Like that'll get you burnt, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree. So. That's a fair take, Daniel. He says, I want Sam to beat the Bills, the Pats, the Finns, because it helps us. I won't hate you for that comment. That's nothing wrong with that. I see that. I honestly think, this is from Rodrigo, he says, I honestly think when the pressure comes, Darnold is going to freak out like he always does. That's the main difference between him and what we've seen from Zach in the preseason. Yes, he does get a little bit panicky with the pressure, but most quarterbacks struggle when getting pressure, to be fair. But I hear what your take is there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just skimming. Oh, interesting. D. Wade, he says, and this is, again, a Carolina Panther fan, he says, Joe Brady is overrated in my opinion. And he had talked about how it's a very check-down heavy offense. I think with McCaffrey, I think that's kind of the idea, is they will throw a lot of checkdowns just because it's one of those plays where you give it to somebody who can make plays with the ball in his hands and you just let him do his thing. But it's interesting to hear a Carolina Panther fan kind of talk about a coach that's widely pretty popular, I would say. So pretty interesting take there. All right. I wish that I knew what this was about. The best comment of the night. Which comment? I'm trying to find it.
Maybe Zach is going to look great. Sam is going to look Darnold.
No, I think I think it was this one. Adam Gase for jock strap coordinator.
He doesn't even deserve that job.
Crazy Eyes would be all over that job. All right. I would I would agree. Like they might not check down as much this game and this season because of the weapons that they do have. Definitely. And Frankie's got the analytics here, so let's throw this out here, and then we'll get to our next topic. Carolina's pass frequency 2020, short left 32%, short middle 18, short right 24% of the time. So that's pretty damn high number there. Short middle 32, 18, that's what, 50, 24, 74% of the time it's short.
Yeah.
So props to D Wade for, not just saying something out of his ass. It's clearly backed up by the analytics there. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe Brady, Joe Brady, that is, maybe he overthinks this one and doesn't go attack the Jets' young secondary and test them early. Maybe he sticks to what he knows, and it's clearly a lot of short stuff. Like a lot of short stuff. That is an interesting thing. Thanks for sharing that, Frankie. I do appreciate it. I need a stats guy on my channel. I think that Green Bean just hired somebody to do that kind of job. I need to get on that or something. All right. We'll go on to the next topic here. I do think he might press a little bit, but I think that's probably to be expected. The stakes are high, so we'll see. If you have not yet, please go ahead and jet up that like button. I would greatly appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Greatly appreciate that as well. We're doing this thing all year long. All right. The next topic is the secondary versus the Panthers wide receivers. And I do have two mailbags that associated to this topic. So I'm gonna connect the dots right now. Mailbag number 1 for this topic. He says, how long until we long for the days of Revis and Crow after watching this current group of corners? I don't know. I kind of like our young secondary though. I like the fact that they're young and they have talent, but they're raw. What do you think about that, Mike?
I agree. I like the fact that we got potential inconsistent numbskulls back there who will make mistakes from time to time. I mean, if you think about it, to me, outside the Crow and Revis days, I'm going back to the Aaron Glenn and Mickens, and they weren't always 100% on point every play. They gave some big plays. I remember being furious with Aaron Glenn, furious, to the point where I was, there's some plays that are stuck in my head that I still think about. But at the end of the day, that squad was solid, and you would even say that Aaron Glenn was solid for most of his career. So, this to me, I think maybe it's naive because they are young. It would be different. We were talking about, guys 4 seasons, 5 seasons in who are still playing this way. But to know that you're watching the youngest part of our team kind of grow as we go through this first season of rebuilding. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm being too nice to them, but I just think that there's a lot of upsides to that. We get to see whether they will make the squad next year, whether they'll be a starter next year, or whether we'll be using some of our draft capital on reinvesting and potentially, taking it in a new direction. So, to me, you're never going to have enough resources to get all first-round picks on every side of the ball. So, you got to come into the season expecting to see players be inconsistent and needing to grow. That's definitely our secondary. And I just think that, when you look at it in those perspectives and with those expectations, I think that kind of, for me anyway, that reduces a lot of kind of harsh criticisms and things of that nature. I think you kind of expect what you're going to expect, and you hope for the best for them, that they perform and that they're part of the squad next year. But if not, we have quite a hell of an offseason to pivot in a different direction if we need to. So I think it's going to be exciting because, to enjoy the good moments, you need the bad, and hopefully the secondary gets better throughout the season. I think that's what we can all hope for. So I'm not it's not a sore point for me right now. It's a, oh, this is the part of the team I'm going to keep the closest eye on, and I hope for the best for each of those gentlemen.
I love it. You're on point tonight. You're preaching.
Preaching?
I need to
Should I
get
a
I need to
collar or
get
something like that?
I need to get a sound effect that says, "Can I get an amen?" or something like that. You did good there. I thought that was perfectly said. I'm excited about the youth of the team. I know this is really corny, but if you were like playing Madden, you get excited about having young players on your team when you build up a team.
Oh yeah,
And I feel like
sure.
it's probably applicable to an NFL team. Like you want those young guys. You want to see the young guys who have potential. You want to see who turns up to be a gem and who doesn't. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Daniel Roberts with a good comment. He says, Zach is not afraid to take off, running if he needs to. I hope he can be as good as Josh Allen, but not as reckless. We haven't seen that yet in the NFL. In the preseason, he did zilch running, and it is a part of his game. It's a weapon. So I agree. Maybe even do that early in the game. Get him, have him drop back and just say, you know what, Zach, if it is not there, go, baby. Especially in a man coverage situation, let him run, man.
Or let him start running and then throw that ball 50 yards downfield on the other side, cross field, like he did against Green Bay. I guess he didn't really run on that play. It was more of a
movement. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, though. Jets gang, there are quite a few that think this is a walk in the park. I think it's a toss-up game, to be perfectly honest with you. I could see the Panthers winning this game. I could see the Jets winning this game. I think it's going to be very, very competitive. And I think it's going to be I said it in the video that I made. I think it's going to be an uncomfortable game to watch because of the tightness, because the stakes are pretty high in regards to, the storylines. So, yeah.
Game of the week?
For the what? For the NFL?
Yeah.
There's other teams playing. I think the Chiefs and the Browns has potential for game of the week. That's a rematch in the playoffs. That's a pretty damn good matchup. But in terms of storyline, I give this one an A+, man. I think it's smart of the NFL to put this out on week 1. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Love the youth movement. We're no longer adding old age or retirement home players. Yeah, that's the exciting part, man. We're not looking for Band-Aid fixes. We're looking for like the long-term fixes, and that's what Saleh has been preaching. That's what Joe Douglas has been preaching. So I'm with it. This is a good point too. Daniel, says, with the veteran safeties that we have, I think the corners could be fine. I think that's a fair take, definitely. All right, let's see. Gonna go through here quick. Isaac Wright says the Jets secondary is going to get clapped. And if you don't know what that means they're going to get spanked on that hiney. We'll see, man. There's potential for that. I'm not going to rule it out. But I'm not going to rule out that we pressure Darnold. And we are going to talk about the line of scrimmage in a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a second. So Grant, it's interesting you say that because I saw some plays in college that I was concerned watching, Zach running around, spin moving on the field, taking hits, jumping in the air. Like, none of that shit in the NFL. I don't want to see it. I don't want it. He is very good with the running game. He needs to slide. You're saying it baffles me when a QB can't slide. I agree. Yes, I said Heine, Tommy R. I have a 3-year-old in this house. I can't help it. I gotta say Heine. All right. Don't overlook the fight they play with the fire, I think is what he meant to say, with under Saleh. The last preseason game was a great example of that. Yeah, man, that's kind of what we're like all hanging our hats on is maybe Saleh is the man. Like, dude, we don't talk enough about him, I don't think.
No, I agree.
Maybe he's the guy that rallies the shit out of this team and gets them ready to just explode. It's all gas, no brake. That's been the mantra from the beginning. Let me see what that looks like, Mr. Saleh. Are the players going to play like they are out of their minds? If you remember, and I know you do, Mike, your favorite player on the Jets, Mr. Who?
My favorite player on the Jets
Yeah.
during what season?
The special teamer. No, this year.
My boy.
Yeah.
Justin Hardy, baby.
Justin
Let's
Hardy.
go.
I loved what he said. He said, I'm an animal. I'm a maniac on the field. That's his quote. I want to see
Hey, what else do you
11.
need to know? What else do you need
Exactly.
to know? Get
That's
that
why
man a contract.
that's why he's a captain. He's a
That's right.
captain. They announced it.
Hell yeah.
So I say if I see 11 players on the field in harmony playing like maniacs, then I'll know that Salah has made his impact. Because if they are just going ape shit, flying around all over the field, that's the defense. That's the team that I want to see.
Yeah. If you watch the last 2 seasons of this team, they look like zombies out there. There was no energy on this team. I mean, how much energy could you get from Adam Gase?
I would say none.
Unless you were sitting around taking acid.
Unless you were sniffing the salts that he sniffed pregame. Emanon says, geez, my virgin ears. Yeah, man, we like to curse. I don't know if he's referring to the Heine one, though, the Heine comment. Yeah, we curse on the show. So he says, Coach is the man. There's a reason why players want to play for him. And he looks great, except in Madden. Yeah, he looks like a little under the bridge troll. It's weird what they did with him. He almost looks like a handsome Smeagol. It's kind of weird. All right, let's keep it moving and grooving here. Secondary versus the Panthers. I think it really just boils down to the line of scrimmage. We did have one other mailbag, actually. Let me get to that before I keep blabbing. So, New Era Jets, he says, do you think our secondary group plays well against these speed demons and Robby Anderson, DJ Moore, and Terrance Marshall? I know for sure Bryce Hall is going to hold his own against their wide receiver 1 and more, but he did well against Devontae Adams in the joint practices. What do you think? We're going to get burnt a couple of times. We're going to let up some pass interferences. What do you see? Are we going to be able to contain them? That's my question for you, Mike. Can we contain the big plays?
It's not a matter. I think to me it comes down to an if then or that type of thing, right? Because if we don't get pressure, these corners won't be able to lock down the field. And obviously that's a given. That we know they're not going to be able to lock down the field for an extended period of time. But I'm thinking if we can't get pressure to the point where we're not in Sam's face after the first or second look, we're in trouble. Because I think that third or fourth will be the ones that are open by that point. Because you're talking, I mean, I'm not a football expert, but you're talking, by that point, you're talking 8-9 seconds. I mean, I think these corners will only be able to hold them down for the first or second look. After that, I think we're in trouble at that point, which means that for these corners to be positioned to be successful, justifiably or not, they're going to need that pass rush to get in there. So if anyone's ever played flag football, we need to be in that quarterback's phase by the time the 3-second count is done, or else someone's going to be open, in my opinion. And if we don't have that pressure, then I would just say, Jet fans, you should get your drinks ready, because it's going to be a long game at that point.
We'll see. I like Gitmo's comment here. He says, this team looks much more disciplined in the preseason. Few pre-snap penalties. Not wasting timeouts, getting play calls in, all coaching. I had talked about it before the Giants preseason game, the first one. I said I wanted to see as few pre-snap penalties as possible. I love the fact that we didn't see many in the preseason. I'm hoping that it can carry over into week 1. If we can have less penalties than the Panthers, that's an advantage, and we need that. We need as many of those little tiny advantages, those coaching advantages that we can possibly get. All right, beautiful. We'll move on. We'll go to the line of scrimmage. We've talked a little bit about it. We've got Foley Fatukasi. He was named a team captain. This is big for him. He's never been a team captain on the Jets. We've got Jonathan Marshall, the rookie from Houston. I don't know if he'll end up dressing or not, but if he does, we need him. Quinnen Williams is obvious. We need him to produce, obviously. Sheldon Rankins is also very, very important in this football game. And then, obviously, the edges. We've got to get in Sam Darnold's face. Who are you counting on outside of Quinnen Williams and Sheldon Rankins to get in Sammy Boy's face?
Well, I mean, Jonathan Marshall definitely is on there. John Franklin Myers is on my list. Bryce Huff is on my list. I mean, I think it's we're past the point where it's just the Quentin Williams and Carl Lawson show. Losing Carl means that there's a lot of opportunities and there's also a lot of need for someone to take the load off of and the pressure off of Quentin Williams to make every play, every big, aggressive bull rush and things like that. So, of course, Sheldon's in there. But I think John Franklin Myers, I think Bryce Huff, and I think Jonathan Marshall. And of course, you got Fudukasi. So I'm not saying I'm just naming every player on the line, but I just think it's going to be a collective. I think they all have to not necessarily have to be the best game of their lives every Sunday, but when one's cold, one has to be hot. Other than Quentin Williams and other than Sheldon at that point for this game, I really do have a lot of hopes for John Franklin Myers. I think that guy is just looking forward to tearing someone apart. So I have if I was a betting man, that's who I would be going with to put pressure in there. But perhaps the linebackers could have a big day too, depending on what the packages are. And of course, I don't know. I mean, I have a question. Does Shaq Lawson, what does he get rotated in there? And like I said the last time, I don't really know about what Shaq brings to the table, but obviously he'd be rotated in on certain plays potentially. But I don't know. I'm kind of getting off tangent. I think if I had to say who would have a big day other than Sheldon and Quinton, I'm going to go with John Franklin Myers.
Yeah, and that seems to be the popular name. I did mix up Jonathan Marshall. I said that he was from Houston. He is actually from Arkansas, so that's my apologies. But most people are saying Jonathan Marshall. Excuse me. Jeebus. It's been a long day, y'all. Sorry. I need to see Jonathan Franklin Myers get after it. I need to see him take that next step. This is a big game for him. And honestly, man, he should have a pretty good game. I mean, it's not a very good offensive line they're going against. Taylor Moton, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's pretty solid, that right tackle that they have. So we just got to get there, man. We got to get in his face. Eminon brings in two more names. He says Tim Ward and Adrian Colbert. A lot of people are talking about him. So Diego said that Tim Ward is going to be a better acquisition than Shaq Lawson. I don't know, man. I think I didn't even know we added Adrian Colbert. I don't even know who that is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't know who he is. So if you know about him, let me know. I didn't even hear about that signing. John is back at work, so I missed some of the transactions during the day now, unfortunately. Let's see. Okay, so Diego Vervain is saying, my buddy is a Chiefs fan and was pissed to see him go, hoping for good things. That's great. If that's who we were talking about, that's wonderful. Because the Chiefs can't keep everybody. That's probably the situation there. Yeah. They didn't want to let him go, but they're just stacked, so they had to let him go, I would assume. Colbert is the safety from San Fran. I appreciate that. Missed that transaction completely. I'm glad we got somebody, though, because behind May and behind LaMarcus Joyner, there wasn't a whole lot there. So I'm glad we were able to get somebody with some familiarity with the system and with Saleh, obviously. I think this is a good point, and it's something that we're all going to be counting on. I just hope that he is all there physically. I don't know if he's going to be out there a ton. Quinnen Williams is still recuperating and getting his conditioning in, I think. We need him, though. He has to have a monster game. We need him to get in there. Absolutely, no doubt. All right. What about the offensive line for the Jets?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, did you talk about the injury report? Did you make a video for that? I was just curious.
No, not specifically for the injury report, no.
I was worried because, obviously Quentin Williams doesn't have an injury tag on it. I mean, to your point, he's conditioning, but then, Jameson I mean, they have Jameson is out, but couldn't he still play on Sunday? Isn't he still potentially on the?
Potentially, but
Yeah.
I would lean towards he's probably not going to play, but it's not he's not ruled out by any means. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. So Mekhi Becton, we've got left guard Elijah Vera Tucker going to make his debut as well, which is crazy to think he's going to be thrown right into the
Awesome.
fire.
Perfect.
Connor McGovern, I would assume that the Greg Van Roten is going to be the right guard, and then right tackle is Moses or Fant. Probably Moses, but not guaranteed. What are your thoughts on going against a pretty talented defensive line? I mean, it's pretty basic stuff here. I mean, we need them to play well, but what are your overall thoughts? Will we do well? They performed pretty well in the preseason, I thought. So, what's your thinking right now?
I'm so excited to see Vera Tucker out there. I think I'm really excited to see how that goes. I mean, you know, with Vera Tucker being out there also comes, it's his first game. So, I think I mean that's why they practice, that's why they scrimmage and things like that. So, obviously he didn't have to necessarily play a preseason game to start that cohesion with Mekhi and the rest of the line. But, it's not the same as when you're out there, especially in the regular season. So, I'm not expecting Vera Tucker to be perfect, but I'm excited to see him out there. I mean, for nothing against Dan Feeney, and I love the mullet. And I think I would love to see Feeney, go out there and rough up some of the Carolina players, because I feel like that's what he loves to do. But I think Vera Tucker in there really cements the starting point for the season, what we want this line to be, and really showcasing, where they are now versus where they will be 6 games from now, 9 games, 17 games from now. I don't think we've really been able to see that, with the interim, fillers that we've had, Dan being one of them. Nothing against Dan Feeney, but I think now we have our starting squad out there. Let's see how they do. I'm not expecting them to be perfect. I do think they'll hold their own against this line. Nothing against the Carolina Panthers defensive talent, and especially their defensive ends. But I mean, I like our tackles. I mean, obviously we got Mount Becton on the left side, and I do think Morgan Moses will do just fine on right tackle. Obviously, I'm going to guess, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist, they're going to target our right side. But I forgot Greg Van Roten played for Panthers, so that should be interesting to see how Greg performs going against his ex-team. Although he hasn't played for the Panthers for a couple of years now. He played in 2019, I want to say was his last year with the Panthers, so it's not like there's been some time there, but still, I think there's something to say about Greg Van Roten having a good game. So to me, it all comes down to who fills the right tackle and whether they're up to the challenge. I think the left side hopefully will be good, and so it really comes down to the right side at that point.
Yeah, it's crucial. I would say even more so than the defensive line getting after Darnold. If we are not protecting Zach, I will hate that. We need to protect him. We need to give him time to throw. And I think that if we can give him that, I think Zach's going to have a pretty good game, actually. I think that's my prediction for this week, is that Zach will surprise and have a really solid debut, I think. That's my opinion. Even if we end up losing the game, I think Zach's going to look pretty good regardless. Okay, cool. We are trucking along here. We're getting close to our prediction time here, but we'll go one more time. We've talked about McCaffrey. How are you going to contain him? What are you going to do? We talked a little bit about maybe isolating Marcus May on him.
Right. What would you do?
Well, so I would like to hear from the chat here. I personally would like to see a little bit of cover 4. Cover 4 is good against the pass. It's also good against the run.
Maybe some QB spying.
Well, you wouldn't QB spy for containing McCaffrey.
It worked in Madden all the time.
Oh yeah. I would like to see them to potentially trying to use some double teaming on McCaffrey. I would like to see that be an option, not on every down, but again as like a change of pace.
Well, here's the question. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, you're good. I just think a little bit of zone. I think zone defense is probably the way we need to go. I know some people want to blitz Darnold and get after him. Maybe we can do that too. I don't know, man. I'm worried about this. This is one of the factors that worries me the most, concerns me the most. I know that Gitmo doesn't really agree with me on this one, but I'm more concerned about McCaffrey than I am their wide receivers, getting over the top. I think we can scheme good coverage. I'm worried though about scheming to contain McCaffrey. I don't think you can stop him, but I think you can try to limit what he does. I think it's gonna be a tall freaking task this first opening week. I don't know, man.
Who do you think? Who do you think they put on McCaffrey? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be consistent if they rotate him around the field. But obviously, there's a lot of pressure on the linebacker crew. In which case, who do you think has the most pressure on them to shut down McCaffrey? Obviously, it's not Mosley. So
I mean, it could be Mosley because we've talked about how it could be a 4-2-5, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 DBs. I don't know, man. It's not even just the run game because we've got Eminon right now talking about having a blitz, run blitzing a little bit, stuffing those interior gaps up.
Right.
Maybe even spreading the defensive line to contain the outsides, but it's not just it's not just run blitzing. He is a freak of nature in the receiving game. He is very, very difficult to stop. So that's where my big concern is. Who do I put on him? I don't know, man. Like I said, I think I would use more zone coverage because then it's not just on one guy. It's more so on like having good scheme and good fundamentals in that zone defense. I'd like to see some zone blitzing as well because then it's not one of those situations where we have to send the house to get after Darnold. We can zone blitz, get creative there. Joe Musa, it's good to see you in the chat. Don't recognize you, so welcome to the show. He says 31-17 Jets. I have $200 riding on this game.
Ooh.
Another $200 for the Jets to win the Super Bowl this year. It's a $20,000 plus return. Let's go. That's pretty ballsy. I like the fact that you're betting on this game. I'm worried about the Super Bowl one, but I do hear you're just playing the odds there, so no worries. I love it, man. If we can win this game, be fired up. Think about how much fun these streams will be, the Sunday post-game show, the Wednesday podcast. Like, it's all going to be so much fun if we can get some
Chad's
wins.
Gonna be psyched.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking about.
You think about Chad?
I'm thinking about everything, man. Talking to Chad, talking to the chat, all of those things. Containing CMC is going to be rough. Maybe some kind of zone robber hybrid. I am super curious to see if the Jets assign someone to follow him. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it other than, yeah, I agree with you. I think zone might be the way to go. Mo Lake, he says, have to cover that running back screen. It's all kinds of stuff, man. Running back screens. And McCaffrey can run an elaborate route tree. He is not one-dimensional at all. He can do all of it. He can line up as a wide receiver. It's a matchup nightmare. He is an absolute chess piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a reason why he goes number one in the fantasy world.
Yeah. Gitmo says, is CMC really going to get 30-plus touches in his first game back? He probably will. That's a fair point. But I could definitely see 20. Like, I could definitely see him getting his hands on the ball 20 times. And again, that's not just on the ground. 12 to 15 carries, 5 to 8 receptions. I think that's totally in bounds for McCaffrey, even coming back from an injury. And that's kind of what I just said. I didn't see that comment, so I'm glad that you and I are thinking the same way. About 18 carries is definitely enough. We definitely need Shaq Lawson. Joe Musa says he's a subscriber, but he never chats. No worries, man. And if you don't chat, it's all good. I do appreciate you checking in, though. I would love it for everybody just to chat. I want the chat to just be constantly a nightmare for me to have to deal with. I want you guys to blow it the hell up always. Let's see. Mo Lake says Jets 31, Panthers 24. I think it could be a high-scoring game. That's pretty decent scoring there. I mean, not super high, obviously, but I think it's going to be in that range for sure. Christopher Merkovich, he says either Brandon Eccles or Michael Carter II will be spying on McCaffrey. That would be interesting if they put a cornerback. Wow, what the hell has happened here? Sorry. I don't even know where the chat just went. Here, let's try to. Oh, there it is. Sorry. A little user error there. My apologies. Either Brandon Eccles or Michael Carter II. It would be very interesting if they brought a corner on the field to play like a sub linebacker responsibility. That would be really, really interesting. Let's see. Huff should be only on the field when it's third down. I agree with this 150%. I'm not hating on Huff, but I'd like to see him in a situational pass rush role. Don't have him out there every down. I'd rather see Shaq Lawson and Jonathan Franklin Myers predominantly on first and second down.
That's a good point.
This may sound crazy, but let McCaffrey get his yards underneath between the 20s, but the Jets cannot let the deep pass happen. I mean, that could be the case. I mean, maybe they don't want to. I don't know, dude. It's a hard one. When you've got somebody like that underneath, and then when you've got those guys that can burn you over the top, that's a tough thing to deal with. Jets 17, Pussycats 13. That's a low-scoring game. I don't see that at all. I think this is going to be pretty high-scoring. No disrespect to you, though, of course. Let's see. All right. We'll move to the last segment of the show. And we will predict not only who will win, we'll predict the score, we'll predict who's going to step up. No longer are we just speculating. This is like the real deal now. Who is going to play a good game? Who's going to struggle? It could be the Jets or the Panthers. It's final, man. This is it. Are you ready, Mr. Mike?
I'm ready, man.
There's no more bullshit. There's a game on Sunday.
No.
What? Yeah, well, I know it sounds obvious, but what you say now is going to be scrutinized come next Wednesday because the facts are coming, baby. So let me hear what you think, Mr. Clicky over there. It's very loud in my ear holes and probably the listeners. What do you got? Who's winning? Score, predictions for players, who's going to struggle and succeed. Let me know.
I have for the Sunday. The winner by unanimous victory. My New York Jets, baby. We will be taking this game by the skin of our teeth by field goal. 24-21. That's what I have us at. I have us taking the game. I think it will be moderately high scoring. I guess I would say that's what my score is. Moderately high scoring. And I do think it will be a close game. I think it will be as close of a margin as a field goal, and we take the W. We take it home with us. So, yeah, I think as far as highlights on who I think has the game, who was the most valuable player for this game, I think
an X factor, yeah.
Yeah, I actually think the X factor will be. I'm going to go on both sides of the ball. I'm going to go offense and defense. I'm going to say Elijah Moore is a big contributor to this game. I think Ty Lawson is a big contributor to this game.
Shaq Lawson.
Ty Johnson is what I said. What did I say? I'm sorry. Did it come across as Lawson?
You said Ty Lawson.
Ty Johnson is a big contributor to the offense, to the win in my prediction. And, of course, Zach has a solid game as well. I think you can see Denzel. I think you can see Mims having a big game, or at least not maybe a big game, but having some key plays that really position us to score. So, yeah, I think we need contributions on the run game. I think Elijah Moore, I agree with you, John, where you said that he could be a big contributor to success on the field. And then I think Mims could have a couple big plays. Yeah, so that's my offensive side. Defensive side, really to me, obviously I have us giving up 21 points, and to me, I think that really comes down to over the progression of the game, trying to shut down McCaffrey. McCaffrey's going to get big plays. I think that's something we all need to expect. I mean, if we shut him out the entire game, then I will gladly eat those words, and you and Chat can rip me apart. But I think McCaffrey's gonna get plays. He's gonna put up yards. He's probably gonna put up a touchdown or two. And it really comes down to, can the defense get that offense off the field? And part of that is talking about the line, talking about John Franklin Myers, talking about the corners and the play calls. Making sure that they are appropriate for what they're seeing on the field. As far as X factors, I think it goes back to John Franklin Myers has to have a big game. I think the linebackers have a big task on their shoulders.
Don't tell me who needs to have a big game. Tell me who you think will have a big game.
Oh, my bad.
You gotta be clear here, mister.
I mean, as I'm talking about it, I'm just putting it in the wrong perspective. Yeah. I think John Franklin Myers will have a big game.
Okay.
I think C.J. Mosley will have a big game. And I think Brandon Echols will have a big game.
There you go. All right. I'll go quick. I think it's 28-24. Daniel Roberts and I agree on the score. I think it's 28-24. I don't think we'll have any kick attempts. I'm not predicting we're going to miss field goals or anything like that. I just think we're going to be efficient in the red zone. This is going to be a close one, man. It's going to be, again, it's going to burn our hearts, our guts. This is going to be a hard game to watch from beginning to end. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think Zach has a really good game. I think he's gonna impress people. I'm not predicting a 4-touchdown game or anything like that, but I think 2 to 3 touchdowns from him. He might throw an interception in this game. That wouldn't shock me. Maybe a strip sack if we have some miscue on the blocking. I had predicted that we might have a turnover there. I think our running game is probably the X factor that not a lot of people are talking about. If we can run the ball and keep them off the field and really pound the rock, get behind Elijah Vera Tucker, get behind Becton, and just smash the shit out of them. Yeah. That's a huge X factor. People are talking about how our defense can't hold up. I'm hearing now the Jets are going to get smoked. I don't see a smoke show in this game. I don't see us getting blown out. Could it happen? Yeah, sure, it could happen. But I think that's the X factor, man. If you can run the football against this team, you're doing two things. You're efficient, you're moving the football, you're getting scoring range, and you're also keeping them off the field. So I think the Jets could try to make it that kind of game. Time of possession. So I'll predict that. That's what my prediction is. They are going to try to run the football quite a bit. Play action. Go downfield throwing the football. Corey Davis, Elijah Moore. It's not going to just be dink and dunk kind of stuff all game long. They're going to attack the secondary down the field. Kyle Reichs in the comments, he said, you guys aren't in bed yet? No, not tonight because I started the stream at 8:30, sir. So anyway, more predictions for the game. I think that Darnold will have a pretty decent game. My determining of how this game is going to end up, I think that somebody is going to make a critical mistake in the fourth quarter. My money is on Darnold. Doesn't mean that it will be Darnold, but that's my prediction. Darnold will make a mistake in the fourth quarter. It will be a crucial one. It will swing momentum. It could give us the lead. It could be one of those things where we seal the game on that interception or fumble. Defensively, I think if C.J. Mosley doesn't have a big game, we're in big trouble. He needs to step up, and that's, again, I'm worried about that. We need him to have a big game, and I'm going to say he'll have a big game. I like your pick of Brandon Echols. I'll say Bryce Hall. We saw Bryce Hall do his thing last year versus some really good wide receivers. So I'm going to pick him to have a solid game on his side of the field, wherever he's covering. Marcus May, man. You're on the franchise tag, brother.
Yeah.
Play a big game. Shut the Jets up. Shut that front office up. Make them see that they need to pay you. You're an MVP of the team last year. Have a big game, my man. We need you badly. And I will predict he has a big game. And then last but not least, I'm going to actually say Sheldon Rankins, not Quinnen Williams, will have the biggest impact on the pass rush game. Quinnen Williams will have a good game, but he is going to be, I don't think playing a ton. I think he's going to play maybe like 50 to 60 snaps, or 50-60% of the snaps. I would be shocked if he was out there more than 60%. So I think Sheldon Rankins has a huge game on Sunday, and he's my dark horse X factor. And that in the running game. The running game's just got to be good, man. All right.
On the committee, who do you think has the best day between P. Ryan, Coleman, Ty Johnson? Michael Carter's in as fourth, so
I think he's questionable right now too. Actually, Michael Carter.
Yeah.
I know you won't like this, but I honestly think they're going to use Tevin Coleman quite a bit in this game, and I think it won't be just running the football. They're going to throw the ball to him quite a bit. And they didn't show shit with him in the preseason. They're going to use him. They're going to move him just like McCaffrey. He's a poor man's McCaffrey, obviously, but he is going to be moved, I think, and line up as a wide receiver at certain points during the season. So I'm going to give the edge to Mr. Shoot, I can't even talk.
Tevin Coleman.
Thank you. Sorry. Tevin Coleman, I think he'll have the most touches, but I think Ty Johnson gets involved.
Yeah.
And I could even see P. Ryan, assuming he's healthy as well.
I was curious.
No, cool. It's all good. Christy Marie, she says the Panthers 31-27. Zach has 2 touchdowns to Davis and Moore, 1 interception. Johnson with a rushing touchdown, but she's predicting the Jets to lose the football game. That's a fair score and a fair prediction. I have no problem with that. Grant Rude says, I'm sticking with it, man. He said 24-20 Panthers last week. CMC has 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown. Anderson has a receiving touchdown as well. The Jets do not score a passing touchdown. Hot freaking take, my man. This is interesting. Interesting. No passing touchdowns for Zach. I guess that means that he doesn't trust the offensive line for this game and is giving a tip of the cap to their good defensive line. Also, I would imagine, he's just thinking it's a road game for a rookie, so it'll be tough going for him. Frankie from Flatbush says 24-21 Big Cats. I'm sorry, 24-21 Jets win the game. Amendola with a field goal as time expires. I'll be
Frankie, man, same score.
I'll be in full freak out mode if we win a tough game like that. It's going to be incredible. Emanon says, I just need to control the clock, play, keep away, and win. We do have a super chat from A. Mitch, who I'm going to get to right now. And A. Mitch says, more important for the Jets to pressure Darnold or take away the run in order to get the win. Great question. Thanks for the super chat, my man. I do appreciate that. I would say the pressuring on Darnold is way more important to getting the win. Thoughts on that one, Mike? Got to get pressure, right?
Oh, 100%. I that's not just for this game. That's for the season. I mean, I'm just going to put that there right now. If that line doesn't live up to what they can be and what they should be, the rest of that defense isn't designed to sustain that. So it's important, and I hope we see some of that this Sunday. And if we don't, hopefully we continue to see it grow over the course of the season.
All right, there you go. Thank you again, A. Mitch. I really appreciate that. Dennis Montalvo, he says 24-17 Carolina. I don't mind it. Don't hate it. I mean, I would be sad. Don't get me wrong, but I don't hate your prediction. It's not outrageous by any means. Let's see here. Just reading through here. Gitmo Bob, he says Quinnen Williams should eat well. I like the way you phrase that. He should eat well in the 4-3 defense, facing fewer double teams, especially if Rankins is good. No doubt, long-term, Quinnen Williams is a dream fit in the scheme. And assuming he's good to go, man, he should have a huge impact on this football game. I can't wait to watch him play.
Who makes a
What?
call on how many snaps he'll get? Is that the trainer? Is that Jeff? Is that Robert? I mean,
Collaboration, I think.
collaborate.
They'll collaboratively make a decision on that one. Vinny Bad. He says, I feel like Croft might have a good game. Also, I think the
Ooh, that's a
first.
good one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. He looked really, really good in that Packers game, obviously.
Yeah.
Even if those
And
weren't touched. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, I mean, you were gonna maybe touch on it. I was just gonna say I would say Tyler Croft could be the surprise to Grant Rude because maybe the Carolina does do a great job shutting down some of these tool sets, but I feel like Tyler Croft he just exposed himself as being like the sneaky talent on the field,
Mm-hmm.
and like he could be our back door into the red zone, into some points, and
Back door, baby.
back door, baby. You got that? You got that innuendo?
Kick that back door all the way in. He says, I also think that the first play of the Panthers is going to be a deep ball to Robby. That could be.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
Even if it's not the first play of the game, it's definitely coming. I think there's no doubt about it. They'll definitely try to make that connection early in the game.
I hope Bryce knocks him out. I'd rather deal with the penalty.
Dele, 38-14 Panthers. Blowout he's predicting here. I'm not going to hate on it. I mean, he could be right. I mean, I don't like the outcome there, but he could be right.
And I'll be drinking heavy after the game.
Yeah, I was shocked. Wow, these goddamn chats. I'm like effing this up so badly. I apologize, guys. He says John's eyes popping. My take is a rookie QB and a run first offense, especially in the red zone. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I'm just surprised by it. It's not a. I mean, it's a little shocking. That's all. Let's see. Kyle Reich wants to talk about the other quarterbacks. NFL week, opening weekend is just the best, man. All of these storylines are coming now, and it's so exciting to watch. I mean, I'm gonna have my ass firmly glued to the couch all Sunday. When I get up, there's gonna be there's gonna be a tattoo of my ass on the couch.
You're welcome. Can't wait, Michelle. I'm sure you're excited to see that.
Yeah, she'll be right next to me. Don't worry.
She'll be watching that fantasy squad.
I do like the fact that people are saying Croft could be a dark horse in this game or in this
Oh
season.
yeah, that's a great point.
He looked good in the Packers game. Again, I was gonna say it, like, even if he hadn't scored touchdowns on those plays, he was running, he was making yards after the catch, adjusting to the ball in the air, getting the ball, plucking it out of the air. I liked what I saw from him, man. I think he could be definitely solid.
I loved it.
Eminon joking around. He says Sam's going to struggle and he's going to get replaced by James Morgan, who is on the Panthers practice squad, I believe.
He's going to come running in like Falco and the replacements.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this show up. Wherever you're watching the game, if you're going to the game, if you're at home, if you're going to a bar, friend's house, family. I know I'm going to my dad's house for this game. I won't do that every weekend, but I will be at his house for this game. I just hope that you all have the best opening weekend. Like NFL kickoff is a special, special time in sports. I hope you just enjoy the shit out of it, and I hope the Jets win, man. I will look forward to talking to you on Sunday night. I'm really, really excited, and I'm just hopeful, man, that we can celebrate. And if it's not a celebration, man, we'll get together and we will talk the football game anyway. We'll hash out what we liked, what we didn't like, things to look forward to in the week 2 game. So I hope you all just have a great week. Enjoy the weekend's games. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, man, at NYJ Today. Come at me. Talk football with me during the week. I would love to hear from you guys during the work week. And cannot wait, man. Cannot wait to watch this game.
Baby.
Any last second thoughts, Mikey, before we go?
Just get ready. The season's here, baby. This is what we've been talking about for the last 6 months. So I mean, no.
8.
What am I talking about? It's been
8.
since
It's like 8 or 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's here, and we're ready.
Yep.
Team's ready.
All
All
right.
systems go.
Go Jets. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys on Sunday night. A word from my daughter. Go Jets! Let's go!
Go Jets.
I want to win, damn it. I can't find the scene. Sorry, I always screw that up. It's always so anticlimactic around here, isn't it? All right, great show. Good night, guys. You want to do it now?
Let's do it.
Jets! Jets! I had to say Jets like 10 times. Good night, guys. Peace out.
Jets!